Alrighty guys, we're back for some mono green aggro, and this is a March of the Machine, the Aftermath Standard Brew. We're gonna go over the deck, then hop right into some ranked, but first things first, for anyone who may not know, I'm Red Cat and I play aggro decks, entity decks with red in them as well, so I hope that sounds fun to ya. Also, we do got that Discord link down in the description if you're interested in joining that up. Okay, what do we got in the build here? First of all, we'll go over the 5-drops because we have a ton of ways to ramp into some early 5-drops, and they are absolutely disgusting to ramp into. So, we got a couple. Thrun, Breaker of Silence. This is a 5-mana, 5/5 legendary creature. This spell can't be countered. Nice. It has trample. Thrun, Breaker of Silence can't be the target of non-green spells your opponents control, or abilities from non-green sources your opponents control. Okay, why not? That's really powerful. And then also, as long as it's your turn, Thrun has indestructible. Oh my goodness, guys, dude, Thrun's disgusting. How do we not see this card? Like, for real, guys, for real. Okay, more nasty 5-drops. We got Vorinclex. It's a 5-mana, 6/6 trample reach, and that's really all the reasons we have to have it in here. But when Vorinclex enters the battlefield, search your library for up to 2 forest cards. Reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. Cool, that helps us thin the deck. At that point in the game, we probably don't need too many extra forests anyways, but you never know. We do have some stuff that we could spend that extra mana on, so for 6 and double green, we can exile Vorinclex, then return it as the Grand Evolution. So it's a saga. On the first chapter, mill 10 cards, put up to 2 creature cards from among the milled cards onto the battlefield. Okay, that could be good. Chapter 2, distribute 7 +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control. Nice. And then Chapter 3, until end of turn, creatures you control gain pay 1 mana. This creature fights target creature you don't control, and then exile the Grand Evolution, return it to the battlefield front face up, so it comes back as Vorinclex. Very powerful card, guys. Like I said, very powerful top end in this aggro deck. What else do we got? We might as well go backwards, huh? We got 4 Evolved Spinoderms in here. It's a 4-mana 5/5, and it enters the battlefield with 4 oil counters on it. Evolved Spinoderm has trample as long as it has 2 or fewer oil counters on it. Otherwise, it has hexproof, and that hexproof is really why I'm opting for all 4 of them. There's a little bit too much removal packed into standard for my liking. I like that this survives a couple turns, man, and then once the hexproof is gone, it gains that trample instead. Pretty powerful. At the beginning of your upkeep, you remove an oil counter from Evolved Spinoderm. Then, if it has no oil counters on it, sacrifice it. Hopefully, we're winning before we have to sacrifice it. And I mean, that's the goal, obviously. Got 3 Ulvenwald Oddities. It's a 4-mana 4/4 trample haste. And for 5 and double green, you transform it into the Ulvenwald Behemoth, which is an 8/8 trample haste. And other creatures you control get +1/+1 and has trample and haste. Ulvenwald Oddity. It's got to be one of my favorite green cards, man. For our 4-drops here, it really depends what you're feeling and what your collection has as well. If you want 4 oddities and only 3 Spinoderms, I think that's completely fine. We're opting for more Spinoderms because I have been seeing a little bit too many go for the throats and such in the past couple weeks. So we'll see how often the hexproof actually comes in, because maybe in the final thoughts we'll talk about wanting the 4th oddity, because I think haste is going to be very important with all the sweepers running about, right? So yeah, Sunfall decks. Oh man, the Sunfall decks. I've been complaining about those. All right, let's continue going backwards here. We got 4 Jewel Thief. It's a 3-mana 3/3 Vigilance Trample. And when it enters, you get a treasure token. Very powerful underplayed creature, just all around, guys. And the Vigilance comes into play like way more than you would expect. Got a single Wrenn and Realmbreaker here. It's a 3-mana 4 loyalty legendary planeswalker. Lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Okay. It's not going to come in handy too often in here, although we do have some Mishra's Foundries, so you never know when we're going to need to tap these for a green source, because we also have Tribute to the World Tree in here. But let's finish going over Wrenn and Realmbreaker first. So it's got a +1 here. Up to 1 target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with Vigilance, Hexproof, and haste until end of turn. It's still a land, so it's important to note that that land does not untap. So if you play this out on turn 3 and power up a land, it's just a tapped land. So I've made that mistake on video in the past. So realistically, I guess you want to think of this as a 4-drop if you want to go for the +1 and have that land defend it or something, right? It's got a -2 here, mill 3 cards. You may put a permanent card from among the milled cards into your hand. Not half bad, it really isn't. Then it has a -7 here. You get an emblem with, you may play lands and cast permanent spells from your graveyard. That could be really powerful and potentially not too hard to get to, I guess, because there's a bunch of like creatures in here that can actually defend Wrenn. It'll actually be on the board for quite some turns if you just use that +1 3 turns in a row. So you never know. And yeah, I mean, our opponents are obviously just killing our creatures anyway, so we're not too worried about like the whole like milling other creatures and stuff into the grave. And if we really are worried about that, then, you know, that Vorinclex, the Grand Evolution, does have that mill ability on Chapter 1. So maybe, I don't know. I think it's going to be an interesting addition in here. So you got Tribute to the World Tree. It's a 3-mana enchantment, rockin' triple green, and that mana cost. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card if its power is 3 or greater, keeping our hand nice and stocked up, right? Otherwise, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. It's actually just a really powerful card, guys. The worst part about the card is the fact that we just have to play it for a turn, and it takes up that turn. But after that turn, the card is ridiculous, dude. So I mean, doing things like plugging a couple +1/+1 counters onto our little mana ramp dorks here. We got Llanowar Loamspeaker. I mean, this coming in with 2 +1/+1 counters on it just seems really good, huh? Same thing with Armored Scrapgorger as well. We have 3 of these. Also, with the Loamspeaker, I always bring this up, but we've wrapped up plenty of games with the elemental lands. Like, just target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with haste until end of turn. That little bit of extra damage when the opponent runs out of creatures to block with happens to be pretty good, man. So don't overlook that bottom ability on Loamspeaker. It comes into play way more than you'd expect. As for Scrapgorger here, it gets +3/+0 and has, gets +3/+0 as long as it has 3 or more oil counters on it. Then you tap it to add 1 mana, and then whenever Armored Scrapgorger becomes tapped, that includes if you attack with it too, so don't overlook that. Exile target card from a graveyard and put an oil counter on Armored Scrapgorger. Pretty good card, guys, it really is. I'm going to go ahead and apply the styles now for the Vorinclex since we don't have to read the backside anymore. All right, our 1-mana stuff now. We got a couple Ascendant Packleaders, powerful 1-drop creature that sees like no play, surprisingly. I keep bringing it up, but the power level of Standard, what on earth is happening, man? Got a couple Audacities in here, powerful card. We're seeing it in Selesnya enchantments, but I think it's actually just solid enough to have in here as well. Got a single Tamiyo Safekeeping because keeping our creatures nice and safe is important, even though like Spinoderm has that hexproof for the first couple turns, and Thrun is really hard to like actually target for the opponents. There's plenty of other creatures in here that need the protection. So yeah, single safekeeping. Also, the life gain on this happens to work out nicely. We have all 4 Tyvar stand this time though, so it's X in a green. Target creature you control gets +X/+X and gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Opting for all the Tyvar stands this time. Usually I think what I would do in the past is have more safekeepings and maybe like 1 or 2 stands instead. But I think all 4 stands is actually going to help us wrap up the game a lot more often in a deck like this, where we're kind of sort of ramping a little bit. We're not too worried about getting 9 mana on the board or anything. It's not that kind of absurd level of ramp, but I do think there's going to be plenty of moments where we have a couple extra mana open to do a little bit of extra damage when the opponent thinks they're about to take out an attacking creature, right? Okay, mana base, like I said, we got a couple of Mishra's Foundry. We also have a Who Endures for 25 total land. I think the 25 is actually going to be worthwhile in this particular version of Aggro. Got some honorable mentions. I thought about Deeproot Wayfinder. I think it could be potentially cool. Maybe this is what you trade out for Armored Scrapgorger instead. I don't know. I think Scrapgorger is actually going to be a little bit better because we are seeing some reanimation decks as well. So Scrapgorger can pick up Atraxas out of the opponent's grave and whatnot. So it depends. Thought about Beastcaller, but we actually have a ton of stuff in here that's just not creatures, from Wrenn and Realmbreaker, Tribute to the World Tree, Audacity, Safekeeping, Tyvar stand. So we still have a lot of creatures packed in, don't get me wrong. I just don't think this is a Beastcaller style build. I thought about the new Nisa Resurgent Animist. I think it's a powerful 3-drop. It's got a huge target on its back, but not this deck in particular. And I thought about some more top-end things like Titan of Industry and the Rex as well. Maybe as a one-of for one of these, depending on what you're seeing, the hasty Rex would be better if you're just getting obliterated by Sunfall. And Titan of Industry would be better if you find yourself going up against, like, I guess, mid-range builds, because this can help you, like, compete against those. I guess that I don't know. Titan of Industry is just good in general, though, isn't it? Okay, but yeah, nothing else on that top end. Hopefully, I went over the deck well enough, guys. Let's go ahead, take it into some ranked, and see how we do. All right, we'll see if we can find that first match here. So, what am I expecting from the build? So I did a few test matches, maybe like a week ago, maybe a few days ago, I guess. And it did pretty good. I changed the cards around a little bit. I think it's actually going to be pretty solid. Opponent goes first here. That could be sketchy. Not seeing a third land for like 5 turns in a row could be really bad for us, but I think we'll find it. 25 lands in here. At least we have Scrapgorger, potentially into the Jewel Thief when it comes time. Oh no, mono blue going first? Man, I hope it's not mono blue. I hope it's something else. Ah, jeez. Luckily, we found the 3rd mana, so I guess Scrapgorger getting countered isn't that bad. And rather the Scrapgorger than the Jewel Thief, so... Okay, 1 make disappear down. Moment of truth. Oh, wow. Must be looking for their 3rd mana. Looks like our 3-drop gets onto this board. Is it going to be Tribute to the World Tree instead? Nah, see, they found the 1 mana, so that could be a Spell Pierce, so Tribute would just get countered if it is a Spell Pierce, so we should go Jewel Thief, because there's nothing for 1 mana that would hit that. Except, they could bounce it, maybe. Jewel Thief's not a great card to bounce back to hand, man, because we're getting that treasure token. Yay! I mean, not yay. I mean, Jewel Thief's off the board, but it's like, that's not that bad for us, you know what I mean? Hottie Jin hits the table. All of a sudden, we're in trouble. Got 1 mana open. Unfortunately, Jin is a problem, though. Opening up their 2-drop counter spells. Spinoderm isn't bad, but like, is it just attempt Jewel Thief again? I'm gonna try the Spinoderm. They have 3 cards remaining in hand. I guess if it's a counterspell, it is what it is, man. They went first, and at that point, it's lining up quite nicely for them. More mana off the top would be really good for us, too. So that way we could start playing multiple things on the same turn. Was it a risky starting hand to keep? Maybe. Maybe. Oh, Spinoderm hits the table. It has hexproof for a couple turns, guys. That's good news. I wonder what they end up doing with this Jin. They probably start swinging in, because it's not like we're threatening lethal damage on the board yet. Yeah, that'll block it well. Down to 16. Land off the top. Come on, let's go. Yes, okay, nice. Yeah, any amount of land will be fine. Yeah, blocks it pretty well. If we drop an Audacity on it, we get like 2 through and then a draw. I wouldn't mind attempting Tribute this turn. To try to, I don't know, I guess stalk our hand next turn. Oddity doesn't get past the Terror. 2nd Spinoderm could be cool. A trade here, then we drop the 2nd Spinoderm. Jewel Thief. Sets up a treasure for next turn. If we draw a land, we could maybe do multiple things. I'm gonna swing. I think we're in some serious trouble, and there's a chance that they just, yeah, they just take it. Now there's a chance that they just counter the 2nd Spinoderm. But I think we're in trouble either way, guys. So, oh, 2nd Spinoderm hits the table. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, they go for the swing. We have 10 on the table, guys. So if 2 cards remaining, I'm going to take it. Because if we see a land, we could drop Oddity and drop Audacity and have lethal damage if they don't counter anything, of course, right? And unfortunately, this Spinoderm loses the hexproof, and obviously Oddity doesn't have the hexproof. Could be as simple as like, yeah, just the second Fading Hope, right? But we're going for it, dude. Audacity on the hexproof Spinoderm would be, I guess, the best bet. I guess if we plugged it somewhere else and they go Fading Hope on that, well then either way we die next turn with their swing. Something's open, man. Something's... The safest thing to do would be to swing for 11 and keep the Spinoderm. Nah. We're not here for safety. We're here for risky plays, darn it. Second Fading Hope. Well, it was fun. It was a fun swing. That could have been insane, dude. Really, they still had something else too. Third Fading Hope? I guess so. So what would have been the way? Well, I mean, Haughty Jin. Oh. Haughty Jin potentially could have just won in the air last turn anyways. Or this turn, I mean. Depending on what they drew here, it could have potentially gotten to 7. And also the last 2 cards in their hand could have been the stuff that draws them cards and then they discard too, so I liked the risk there. I think it was totally worthwhile. Really showing how much power we can get onto the board successfully too. Pretty cool. Alright, let's try that again. Let's go first, and let's not go up against mono blue. Let's showcase the deck as much as possible here, right? Even though I think that last game, you know, honestly, I think that showcased a lot. It showcased why we have 25 land for sure. We know that much. All right, we found our next opponent. What you bringing to the table, buddy? Opponent goes first. Okay. Okay, well, 2 land again. I think we did fine. It's like I said, yeah, we're definitely showcasing why we have 25 land in here. Even outside of all the extra ramp and stuff, there's just a ton of stuff we want to do every turn, man. Oh, Thrun would have been insane last game. That's right, yes, it can't be countered. That would have been crazy, dude. Yeah, maybe these are just risky hands to keep, too. Fiend's Tower. Ooh. Gross. Oh, my turn. But Tamiyo's Safekeeping was keeping that open there. Tribute to the World Tree. We should probably go Forest. And just in case, there's a possibility we want to go Tribute next turn and we see a Forest off the top. But then again, yeah, Scrapgorger can tap for colorless if it lands too, but you know, something tells me Scrapgorger might not survive the turn, guys. Go for the Throat Czar. Played a lot in these style of builds, so we'll see it eventually. Maybe they want to target something a little larger. Whoa! They kept the land open, but decided Scrapgorger wasn't worth it, man. Poor little Scrapgorger. Jace, wow. They're tapped out. -3 on it. Sure. Loamspeaker. Okay. Yeah, I'd say pretty good turn for us, man. Get the Ulvenwald down, take the Jace out of the equation. Now the question is, how much damage can we deal to the opponent's face in like the next 2 turns before the Sunfall drops? It might not be a Sunfall style deck, right? They only got the 1 white source from the tower here so far. All 4 open, at least we know it's not a Wandering Emperor for the turn. More land, I don't mind seeing it. Could be a Wrenn and Realmbreaker turn. Power up the land, swing for 7. Actually have Audacity as well. I'm going to go Wrenn and Realmbreaker for the turn, actually. Pick up that Jace. Maybe. There we go. And then Foundry. Keep the 2 green. The swing with the forest is what I'm gonna do here. If the Wrenn lands. So I have 2 open for like a make disappear, which could be really good. And then we might just go -2 on Wrenn and Realmbreaker, right? Okay. Well, I guess at that... I guess it's probably removal for Oddity. And I was going to drop the Audacity on Oddity, but I guess it's better just to keep the Safekeeping open then. Because, yeah, even though Audacity draws us the card, Safekeeping's a lot better if we can just keep Oddity on the board. Oh, we could have done both because the Vigilance, the Forest has Vigilance when it sacrifices a Planeswalker. Oh, man. Well, that kind of sucks. Wrenn and Realmbreaker is out of here. Go for the throw. Okay. Yep, Safekeeping. So, see, we could have tapped this Forest to play the Audacity, which would have been 2 extra damage. So, I mean, at this point, though, they might think we have, like, another Safekeeping or something open. They pass it back. No 5th. Oh, Tyvar stand. That's pretty good, huh? Tyvar stand. Could swing with Foundry this turn, too, but I think we're just going to go Audacity. Should we go on to the Scrapgorger here? We could still power up Foundry, but I think it's going to be Loamspeaker and keep the Tyvar stand then. Alright, let's swing for 6. And yeah, keep the stand as a way to stop the go for the throat nonsense. I guess it don't really matter which one we take. Unless this is a Lear deck, which I suppose is completely possible. Really taking the 6. Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay, what's the odds of a board wipe next turn? Hopefully not good. Hopefully we'll be fine here. Let's see. The path board wipe destroys, right? So Tyvar stand indestructible is safe against the destroy effect. The what's the other? The -X is a domain build. That would be really bad, actually. I don't think this is a domain build, but they do have the Rafine's Tower here. So what would the -X would still be what, 4? That would be really bad, dude. We draw off of the Audacity, but then we would completely be fizzled out at that point. Because Tyvar stand does not protect against -X abilities. I mean, it does if it targets, of course, but yeah, no, Tyvar stand for this. Definitely stop the Void Rend and swing on in. Yeah, GG opponent, GG. You know what? They had the 1 blue open. I should have played it out completely. And we probably, let's see, they're at 5. Because if the 1 blue was like a Fading Hope or something, then they'd still be alive after the Fading Hope on the Oddity. So watch out, guys. I should have played that out completely, man. We should have used Loamspeaker's ability, powered up a Forest, and then tapped the other 2 Forests, powered up Foundry, and just like full swung regardless. Because yeah, this 1 blue could have saved him a turn, which could have been really, really bad. Definitely something to think about. I just got so excited to get a full swing. Unfortunately, the opponent didn't see as much mana as I'm sure they would have liked to see, right? Like, they only had 4 for a couple turns there. So they probably wanted to get to 6 mana by the end of that, yeah, of their last turn. So actually, their Memory Deluge can find mana, right? So I mean, Memory Deluge sees a lot off the top. I don't know. I don't know what exactly they wanted to see there, man. Oh, we go first. We don't have our early game ramp. I guess Jewel Thief, but like, It's not the greatest hand. I don't necessarily think this is a mulligan, though. I think we try this. I think we give this a shot. Opponent. Well, I guess they were waiting for me at first there, right? So, all right. Even if the first play is our Jewel Thief, it's not that bad. Evolved Sleeper, okay. Might have some mono black here. Vorinclex, okay. Not bad cards, but if we give too many turns to the opponent to set up, then it could be bad. Or it could get bad really fast. Uh-huh. Okay, Jewel Thief number 2, not terrible. Jewel Thief doesn't get picked up by Cutdown, which is excellent. We have Audacity open, but I think we just keep Tamiyo's Safekeeping open against Mono Black. That's probably just much better. Dropping the Audacity, letting them pick this up with a go for the throat would be really bad. I guess we draw off of the Audacity, but yeah, again, same concept as the last game. Just keeping the protection open is much, much better. Like, this is a terrific trade for us. Oh, and they know. I guess they just keep the blocker then. I was going to say, it's essentially trading a 1 mana card for a 1 mana card that they spent a bunch of their other mana into, so. Okay, Evolved Spinoderm is available. We could go Audacity for a little bit more damage if we wanted to. Safekeeping, like Spinoderm. I think it's Jewel Thief number 2. But I do want to go Safekeeping for the turn as well. They also might not take the trade now that we're getting a filter out of the Audacity. They're taking this damage, bro. Okay, I'll take that. Jewel Thief number 2, Safekeeping is open. Very nice. More mana off the top would be terrific for us. Oh, it's Rakdos, dude. It's Rakdos. Oh, Liliana gets around the Safekeeping. Luckily, we had the second Jewel Thief here. And yeah, we don't want to get rid of the Audacity one just yet, so. Even if we do want to draw, not worth it. We have the swing at the Liliana. The trample does get through. I just kind of want to do something a little better, though, than that, you know? 5 mana for Vorinclex. We could grab a couple forests. We have Spinoderm, keep Safekeeping open. I guess we start with the swing. We make sure that Liliana gets off this board, huh? They let it happen. They're keeping that sleeper around. So at that point, is it Spinoderm because of the hexproof? And then the Safekeeping is still open? As much as I'd like to thin the deck, it still wouldn't be a bad thing if we see a forest off the top. Spinoderm happens to be pretty powerful too, so. Second Liliana, I think we would sacrifice the Jewel Thief. Get a draw off of the Audacity, right? Speaking of a draw, they go for the draw on the sleeper down to 14. Are our opponents okay with their land, guys? They have to discard a cut down. That is brutal, man. Oh my goodness. All right, we start with a swing. Is it going to be Spinoderm? It is going to be Spinoderm. All right, Indestructible is pretty good here. Like I said, it's like trading a 1 mana card for a 1 mana card, and then Spinoderm keeps that hexproof for a turn. And the opponent's not finding their land either, so I'm going to go Vorinclex. Yep, GG opponent. Just so many big creatures slamming onto the board. That's rough, though. Where's the land for the opponents, guys? Come on. We want to go up against maxed out stats from the opponents. That's what I want to see. Although our deck is playing out beautifully as of right now, so that's good news at least. Yeah, against that first mono blue build, though, it could have played out a little bit better, but honestly, I probably could have played it out a little better. Had we known what we were going up against, I suppose it would have been a mulligan, right? So, yeah, servers have been a little slow today, huh? The waiting for servers just taking a little bit longer today for some reason. What do you guys think of the build so far, huh? I named it Where's Mono Green because last week we did the whole Where's Mono Black, and the Mono Black list was disgusting, dude. It did really good, and it felt terrific. Named the deck Where's Mono Green because, you know, I think it's a viable question sometimes. There's still a lot of power packed into these builds. You know, 4 forests, totally fine. I think the lineup here isn't terrible. I just don't think it's a mulligan hand. If we see forests for the next 5 turns in a row, then that's just unlucky, right? So, oh, teamer. Oh, dude, nice. Okay, let's do our best to not root for the opponent here. Uh-oh, more forests. Okay, we go Jewel Thief. Because then we have the 1 mana open for the stand. If we swung and they blocked and we used the stand, then we wouldn't be able to play the Jewel Thief. Yeah, they take the 2. Yeah, we're going to need to see more creatures off the top now. We definitely have all the mana we need for a few turns. Okay. The second enthusiastic Mechanaut hits the table with a free Patchwork Automaton. And a free wedding invitation. Oh no, guys. How are we supposed to not root for the opponent right now? What else? Okay. Okay, the Prism. Alright. Yep, they're drawing. This is sick, dude. Okay, hopefully not too much else because that Automaton's getting over the Jewel Thief. Oh no. Opponent's popping off, dude. Look at all these 2 mana cards they're playing for free. Oh my goodness, stop it, opponent. Oh man, okay. Looks like they might actually be done here. Swinging in the air because why not at that point? Tyvar stand if they block with Automaton. Luckily it gets over. Oh, Vorinclex, dude, nice, yeah. I don't think there's a question in my mind we play this over like a combat trick with stand because Vorinclex thins out 2 more forests. Blocks really well. Yeah, dude, I don't think it buffs the pack leader too. Yep. All right, let's thin this deck out. Hopefully we don't like draw any forests for the rest of the game. No attacks because they have great blocks. So technically they could have converted that Crucible into any color with the Prism. They can make target creature can't be blocked this turn. They don't have a Vampire. They can pay 2 to add 1 mana of any color here as well. They're doing something over there with mana. Filter out. Oh! Dude! Nice! Oh my goodness. Return all non-creature, non-land permanents to their owner's hand. Then they play them all for free again. Buff that Patchwork above and beyond. Dude. That's so cool, man. First time I'm seeing a deck. Well, we've seen the Mechanaut decks with the Patchworks in the past. But definitely the first time I'm seeing like the whole filter out nonsense. That's brutal actually, man. Because it keeps their hand super stacked. If they had multiple Patchworks on this board, it'd be game, dude. There'd be like no chance. How many turns are we away from flipping this too? Yeah, we still got 4 turns of playing lands before we can flip Vorinclex or do anything like that. So the best bet, I mean, Tyvar stand on the Vorinclex doesn't even get around the Patchwork. Oh no, we see more land off the top. Oh no, guys. Yeah, because this would be X is 4, and that we could get that to a 10-10, and Patchwork's in 11-11. They have another filter out next turn. There's just no way, dude. Especially, well, I guess Patchwork doesn't have trample. Yeah, we definitely needed to see something other than land that turn. So let's see what we see next turn. I don't know a great way around this, guys. I really don't. That was really cool, though, opponent. Massive props for just playing a deck way out of the meta. They're doing it again. They got the second filter out, guys. How fun is that? I mean, we're definitely letting them play this out, too. I don't know, like, what their end goal is with the automaton, either. Like, how many turns in a row can we actually chump it then, you know? Maybe they'll just end up decking out before game, right? Maybe. They're drawing a lot of extra cards here. We should visit a Mechanaut deck again, guys. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments for sure. And maybe we'll go back and try one out, because the opponent's deck looks so darn cool. I don't know how often we'd actually be able to pull off the double Mechanaut on the board, though, with how much removal. You know, in this mono green deck, I don't think we have any removal technically, right? I don't think so. Yeah, we're just going for big creatures slamming face before we have to worry about removal, so. Okay, automaton's an 18/18. Oh, unblockable, yeah. I'm over here thinking like, oh, we can just chump block for days, but we just got done reading the wedding invitation. GG opponent. Oh, I definitely want to drop you the GG and... No, emote, no! That was fun. That was really cool, opponent. Yeah, I don't know why I just finished reading wedding invitation and then I still thought... Something in my head made me kind of think like it's a Skrelv style ability where they call a color, but obviously we know it's not that, but... Let's go one more game, guys. I think we have time for one more. And if it ends up going on for like way too long, if it's leaning towards the opponent, we'll give it to the opponent. No big deal. Alright, opponent, what'd you bring into the table, buddy? If it's anything like that last build, then this will be a fun one. Even if we didn't flood out last game, we would have had to put like serious pressure on. Alright, it's a fine hand, right? I guess. Not all the hands have been terrific, and not all the draws have been terrific either. Spirited Companion, huh? The Rafine's Tower here? What on earth? Let's get that Scrapgorger down. Oh, maybe we should have played the Forest in case we draw our 3-drop enchantment with the triple green. Storefront, okay. We up against another off-meta build here, potentially. Go for the throat for the Scrapgorger. Uh-oh, guys, we have nothing for next turn. Uh-oh, guys. You know what? I'm gonna swing for 2. I'm going for it. Nice. This looks like the perfect deck for Thrun to make an appearance. Rona. Okay, is it Legends, really? Forest. Nice, no blue open. So, Spinoderm. Very nice. Vorinclex next turn, sounds good to me. Spinoderm's perfect when it can land on the board, that hexproof actually keeping it safe for a turn. The hands and the draws haven't been great, but I think there's a lot of potential for the hands and the draws to be exactly like the curve outs, man. The lines of play in this build can be absolutely disgusting, even though we didn't necessarily see it today. I'm going to start with a swing. See what they end up doing here. I think it's just a chump from the Spirited Companion, but, you know, it has hexproof, so a Wandering Emperor gets around it. Be chump. We go Spinoderm, keep Tyvar stand. I guess they both still have hexproof, so I guess if we wait a turn to drop the Vorinclex. See, the thing is we have double Vorinclex. I'm going for it. They have a blue source open here too, so even if we go Spinoderm, we only have 1 mana open, and then Make Disappear, yeah. Make Disappear would have taken out the Spinoderm too. So I think it was worth the shot. Spinoderm on the board still has that hexproof for the turn. Sarah Paragon, nice. Drop the storefront. Okay, okay, it's starting to make a little bit more sense here. Whoa, Invasion of New Phyrexia. The opponent's decks, these last couple decks here are really cool, man. Jewel Thief, see, like that would have been great earlier. Actually playing stuff out when they're supposed to be played out. Now they're tapped out here. So I have a terrific swing. Vorinclex, and then we keep the stand open. Jewel Thief into Spinoderm could be fine too, but this might be the style of deck that runs board wipes. First of all, we start with the swing, because we can. They take the 5. So we do have 6 mana on the board. If we go Vorinclex, keep the stand open. I think this is pretty good. Thin out that deck. And then have protection for our, when they drop spot removal or something, right? Forest. It's pretty good. Also, we have the reach for the Serra Paragon then, too. Draw, discard. So what do you guys suppose here? Play a land from your graveyard or cast a permanent spell with mana value 3 or less. So I guess a Battle Siege is a permanent, huh? So yeah, Invasion of New Phyrexia could come down. Go a little wide here. Ooh, Kaya in the grave. Okay, just I guess Reanimator in general. They must have bigger things to reanimate if they drop a Kaya in the grave just like one turn away from actually playing it, right? So pretty neat, pretty scary. I don't know how we get the excess damage through right now. But I mean, Spinoderm has trample for a couple turns, and so does Vorinclex, obviously. Go for the draw on Companion. We got to be careful whenever this leaves, it's going to gain them 2 life too, so. Because the Serra Paragon is absolutely disgusting. All right. Keeping the 1 mana didn't matter that time. Spinoderm gets sacrificed next turn, guys. 7 on the board, almost 8 for the Vorinclex. Tyvar stand for X is 6. Could be good if they let the damage through, but I'm pretty sure they block. Also, they still have 4 mana open too, so if we go for the lethal damage, which would be exactly 17 here, and we'd be completely tapped out. So yeah, they might just take the damage, but I don't think we risk the stand for the 6. Now they're going to be chumping anyways, which is probably good because it helps our decision on what to do for the turn. Yep, 4 to face, 3 to face. Not bad, guys. Now they do gain 2, back up to 12, and then they can recast Rona next turn off the Serra Paragon. And then for the turn, I think it's going to be, again, what's the odds of a board wipe, man? Replenish the Spinoderm because our other one's about to get sacrificed next turn. And instead of going Jewel Thief, I guess we could still go Jewel Thief, keep the stand open. I think if it is a board wipe, I'd rather try to replenish the board state with the Jewel Thief over a Loamspeaker, though. And even then, Loamspeaker can power up a land and be pretty devastating next turn, too, so. Either way, we have to be prepared for this Spinoderm to sacrifice itself. And second Kaya from hand could be bad, too. Oh, Eternal Wanderer. And then they let us keep the Spinoderm that's about to sacrifice itself. So it essentially wipes our board, and Serra Paragon gets to survive. Crap, guys. Yeah, that's brutal, man. Eternal Wanderer was perfect. The perfect way to wipe this board state. Outside of like a Sunfall or something, because obviously that would have done a lot there too. Mishra's Foundry does take care of the Eternal Wanderer, and then we drew a third Spinoderm, which is pretty good, man. We still have the Tyvar stand open, but not like we need it necessarily. Because now it'll have the hexproof again. But yeah, not bad. Not bad, guys. I mean, I think we're in some serious trouble, unfortunately, but like overall, not bad. And they can still bring back the invasion of New Phyrexia whenever they're ready to. Elish Norn. Huh. That stops the Jewel Thief treasure. And it's a 4/7, dude. My goodness. Maybe we go... They swing with Sarah Paragon. We don't have Trample on the Spinoderm yet. We swing with Spinoderm, we can go Tyvar stand for 2 and get rid of the Elish Norn if that's what they block with. But it might just be a chump with the Rona and then they gain 2. This deck's serious business, dude. This is super scary. These big old chunky planeswalkers on the top end. That's super scary, man. Alright, let's see what they end up doing here. If it's the chump with Rona, they go back up to 14. If it's the Elish Norn, then we have this for X's 2. But then we're, I mean, it still has hexproof for the turn, so yeah, this is fine. 7/7, not bad. Elish Norn is out of here. At that point, do we completely replenish the board state, or do we save it? I'm going for it, man. I'm going for it. I think second board wipe would do us in regardless, even if it was as simple as just removing the Spinoderm. So I think now's the chance to go wide, or try our dandiest to go wide, right? And see what we could get done here. Because everything from the opponent has been super scary so far anyways. What could we see off the top, guys? What could we see? Losing both Vorinclex. Oh, they flipped the Rona. I don't think I've ever seen this backside. The Obliterator. Oh my. 5/5. Still has that top ability. Kaito comes down. Wow. Whenever I source... I'm trying to read. We're going down to 9 here. I guess I'll read it on my turn, so I'm not holding up their whole turn here. They go for the draw on the Kaito. Okay, and then Kaito phases out. Can we do 10 damage this turn? We have Trample on the Spinoderm. Well, now we can't. A forest off the top was really bad. Whenever a source deals damage to Rona, that source's controller exiles a card from their hand at random. If it's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield under your control. Otherwise, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Oh, huh, cool. They might just trade out here. So first of all, we play this. Second of all, we power this up. And they're forced to block here, right? And then they take 8 damage this turn. And then they gain 2. As brutal as the board wipe was, yeah, it's a good trade. Back up to 4. It's gotta come down to what they have in hand this turn, right? Because Mishra's Foundry can still power up nicely. Up to 5. I mean, obviously it comes down to what's in their hand, but you guys know what I mean. Comes down to this turn, is what I mean. Like, what they do in this turn. Kaito's a problem, dude. This whole thing has been a problem. No. Oh, Jewel Thief is still around. They didn't completely power this up. I guess they wanted to make sure Sarah Paragon. I mean, Sarah Paragon blocks the Jewel Thief really well. Guys, if we would have seen like a Tyvar stand off the top last turn, that would have been it, huh? Anything outside of that land would have been really good, though. No, -2 on the Liliana, too. Oh, man. How brutal is this deck? Okay. Let's see. Yeah, more land. Okay, well, I guess we could definitely let them wrap this game up, though. We can't swing in with the Foundry. The Paragon blocks really well. They still have the Invasion of New Phyrexia. Sarah Paragon just, carrying this game, I would say. Especially since, yeah, technically they did gain 4 off of the Sarah Paragon's ability as well. Actually, more than that, because, yeah, they've been playing these land back from the graves, too. So, yeah, dude, Sarah Paragon. Where's this card, huh? Underplayed? But for real, we see Sarah Paragon pop up every now and then, but it's like one of those things. Wow, they're actually keeping the Paragon back too. Maybe we shouldn't let them play this out. It might take too long. We are 50 minutes in. I gotta go over the deck still, and I have more to record today, so let's see what they end up doing here. I kind of wanted to see what was on top of the deck too. If they don't swing this turn, guys, I will go ahead and drop the concede. But until then, always feel free to skip ahead in the video. We still got some final thoughts to go over. We always got chapters down at the bottom of the video. Yeah, they're not swinging with that Sarah Paragon. Let's see what's on top, because I like seeing the order of my deck.
Thanks. I'll be taking that.
But yeah, they could have wrapped this up, I guess, this turn had they swung with Sarah Paragon the last 2 turns, right? Wedding announcement. Okay, we're seeing more of the opponent's scary business too. Let's see what's on top. Yeah, makes sense to me. Hey, good game, opponent. They have 5 on the board, and they're being super conservative with the Sarah Paragon there. So I'm just gonna drop the concede, even though I generally like to let the opponents play it out. They're completely safe to play out the long game, and probably for good reason, man. Like, we're rocking the Ulvenwald Oddity in this build, so... Guys, where's mono green? It is completely buried under the power level of standard. That's where mono green is, right? I'll tell you what, dude, we have like insane lines of play in this list. We really didn't see it today, and it might just come down to me not dropping the mulligan as much as I probably should. But you guys know me, I like to test out hands. I like to push the limits of the deck. We flooded out in quite a few of those games, but then also the hands where we kept 2, we almost struggled to find land. Luckily, we did find the land that we needed to see. The mono blue list, I think mono blue in general against mono green, this version of mono green, I think mono blue is going to be favored, even if we do go first. I don't quote me on that, but it's just like the vibe I get. That being said, it's very possible to drop multiple things on the same turn in this build, especially with the ramp on Loamspeaker, Scrapgorger, Jewel Thief, and 25 mana. So also, like, Thrun Breaker is in here to help us with those mono blue matchups. We didn't get to see Thrun today. Trust me, though, it's very powerful. Even seeing Thrun against, like, that last build, for example, it just, like, that middle ability of hexproof, essentially hexproof from everything outside of green, is pretty gross, man. Thrun happens to be ultra powerful. I think we had a great chance to win that last game if the Eternal Wanderer didn't absolutely obliterate us. Because it wasn't like we got to keep any creatures back because Spinoderm got sacrificed. And Spinoderm is pretty good. It has that massive downside in the longer games like that control matchup where it actually does just end up getting sacrificed instead of helping you win the game. That being said, dude, 4 mana 5/5 that has hexproof for 2 turns against this current meta where everything's spot removal is pretty powerful, isn't it? Then it loses that hexproof and gains the trample, and at that point you're dropping other threats on the board too. Now the opponent's like, well, now I can target Spinoderm, but now they're rocking the Vorinclex on the board too, so I don't know which one to target, right? So they target the Vorinclex, Spinoderm survives a couple extra turns until it eventually sacrifices itself, unfortunately. So I think there's an argument to be made where you can drop down to 3 of these. I really do like the 4 of, and I really do think it's powerful, even outside the fact that it sacrifices itself. But I think we could drop down to 3 and be quite successful with that. What are some other cards that we had success with today, man? I guess obviously the protection spells, so we could go up a second Safekeeping and probably be fine too. At that point, I'd probably just drop one of the Audacities. We already have quite a bit of trample in here. I guess the thought process of Audacity is to help us make sure that we can get the excess damage through when we need to, right? Or put like trample on the pack leader, for example. You could put trample early on the Spinoderm while it has the hexproof to have hexproof and trample for a couple turns in a row, right? Other than that, we have trample on Vorinclex, we have trample on the Thrun, trample on the Oddity, trample on the Jewel Thief, right? Audacity does do things like buff the Scrapgorger and Loamspeaker, which did actually help us win that one game, which was pretty nice, right? So I think the arguments could still be made to drop an Audacity, go up a Safekeeping, drop a Spinoderm, and at that point, what do we want to add? Probably like a utility creature or something, right? What is the card that hits enchantments? It's 3 mana. I literally I can't think of the name at all, so I just type in enchant and see if I can find. Yeah, right here, Tranquil Throwback. Could be a 1-of pretty easily. The main reason it wasn't included in the list is it's not incredibly aggressive. At all, realistically, right? Like if you're spending your turn 5 to do some utility things with Throwback, you're probably not spending that turn 5 wrapping up the game, which could be really bad, right? So Throwback could make the list as a 1-of. I think that extra utility could go a long way. Has that exile target player's graveyard, even though we didn't really see any true reanimation from the opponents. We did see that Sarah Paragon list where Throwback really could have come in handy. That being said, against that list too, Scrapgorger would have done the same thing, man. If we could have taken out some of their like 2-mana cards that they kept bringing back, not kept bringing back, but you know what I mean. If we could have hit that Rona before it came back, would have been a completely different game. So I do think we drew a little poorly today, guys. I do. Obviously, there's plenty of matches and plenty of chances for me to just play it out better and maybe get some mulligans in. But you guys will have to let me know down in the comments. Did we get a little unlucky today? Because I feel like we did, honestly. So, yeah, Throwback, definitely something to consider. If you drop a Spinoderm, go up 1 Throwback, drop on Audacity, go up the 2nd Safekeeping. I think all this extra protection you're just not going to be mad about, bro. Even when we're trying to already have protection on our creatures in general, with the Thrun and the Spinoderm and whatnot, it's just not going to hurt to have more protection. Or at that point, you could think about some fight spells as well to have a little bit of removal. Because if we had a fight spell in here to take out that Sarah Paragon, maybe that last game would have been a little different. I haven't been worrying too much about fight spells. I've just been more so worrying about piling the damage through for mono green. And maybe that's a mistake overall. Maybe I should be focused more on removing our opponent's stuff too. Either way, guys, hey, if you made it this far into the video, then for real, y'all are champions. I super duper appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video.